Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Offset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, so if you have time, please hit us up in the comment section with a comment and pass this video on to someone else, and please give it a thumbs up. So I was asked, well, actually, I wasn't asked, I was told by several different people ever since Donald Trump started winning the presidential election all those years ago now. I think it's been, what, a couple, 2 or 3 years now. Ever since it became kind of obvious that some people were going to vote for him, people started to tell me they were seeing online that witches, they didn't tell me who these witches were, they just said witches, are hexing Donald Trump. And they're like, well, are you going to get in on it? I know you're a witch. Are you going to get in on hexing Donald Trump? And I was like, I told them all the same thing. I don't hex. I don't do that. I don't believe in hurting people. It's against my vows. I took vows as a priestess and I take them very seriously. So people are like, okay, but he's evil or he's negative. He's this, he's that. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. I do believe he's a negative force. But I don't believe in hexing people, period. It's not like, I can hex them if they're bad and not hex them if they're good. I don't make that judgment call. So people are like, well, what do you think somebody should do? So there are ways of binding and banishing someone. You don't have to hurt them, is my point. Generally, when a person does a hex or a curse, it depends on what they mean by it. You have to ask the person. But generally, when a person does a hex or a curse, it is something that's going to harm the other person. It's a spell of some kind that's going to bring harm to the other person. And in my tradition, we believe that if you harm another person, the harm comes back to you more so than the harm you put out. Now, everybody doesn't believe this. I believe very strongly in karma. Everybody doesn't believe this though. Some witches think they can hex and curse anybody and nothing's going to happen to them. So I don't get into back and forth with them. Do you. You're the one that has the answer for that, not me. So I don't get into these philosophical, ethical arguments with other pagans. They can do what they want. I'm going to do what I want. It's not what I choose to do. It's against my vows. So, like I said before, in our tradition, we believe that when you harm somebody, it comes back to you double, triple, quadruple, 10 times sometimes what you did to them. So in our tradition, I do not hex. If I was going to do anything, I would bind and banish a person. A binding spell is to stop them. It's like, just stop. Whatever you're doing, whatever your action is, stop. But it doesn't hurt them unless, of course, you word it or do it in such a way to cause harm. But generally, it's just to stop them dead in their tracks. You often do these kinds of spells with a freezer. It's called a freezer spell. And you put their information or whatever you're going to do into this spell, and you put it in the freezer. And that stops the person. And the other one I was thinking of is the angelic banishing. Now remember, you can do any spell you want. You can write a good spell, you can write a positive spell, or you can write a negative, or you can write something that's kind of neutral. With the angelic banishing spell, you're asking the angels to remove someone who's harmful. So if I was going to do any magic at all, it would have been one of those two things. Asking the angels to remove this person because he's harmful to the whole country, or whatever the case is. Now, did I do any of these things? No, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything at all. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't do anything. Because Donald Trump did not become the president of the United States by himself. There are people who believe in his message. There are people who believe in his ideologies. There are people who are supporting and standing behind him. So for me, it wasn't just Donald Trump. It's the system, the machine, the conglomerate, the group, whatever it is, that's supporting people like this. You can get rid of Trump, and then there's another one. Then there's another one. Then there's another one. It's not to me, it's not the person that's the problem, it's the system. So when Donald Trump got elected, I didn't sit in America and hex him and or angelically banish him or anything along those lines. You know what I did? I packed my shit and I left. Because as far as I was concerned, that's what this country had become. And maybe that's what it always was. I'm not even going to say become, like it was great and then it became ungreat. I'm still trying to remember a time when it was great. I can't recall. All I remember, if I think back in history, is before before Europeans colonized, back when it was just not even named. I don't even know if it had a name back then, you know, back when the Native Americans were roaming free and chasing buffalo from from sea to shining sea. That's the only time period I can think of that I would say was great. And I wasn't alive during that time period. So I'm just romanticizing it from my point of view. I don't know really what was going on. So it wasn't like it was a great place and then became awful as far as I was concerned. Remember, I am black, I am a lesbian, and I am a woman. So every ism, sexism, racism, homophobia, classism, every ism that there is has gone, that discrimination has gone against me at some point in time. So it was never, in my opinion, this great place and all of a sudden this horrible man took over. It wasn't like that to me. It was just yet another thing that happened behind another thing, behind another thing, behind another thing, you know? So when it finally went down, I just decided this is what this country is. This is what this country has always been. So either you're going to stay and help change it, or you're going to stay and ignore it and be a part of the nonsense like some other people choose to be, or you're going to move on and do something else. And I chose to move on and do something else. Right now, I'm working on getting together everything I need to get residency in this country. I'm in Costa Rica. And there is no perfect country. I'm not saying Costa Rica is perfect or anywhere is perfect. You're not going to find a place that's perfect. You're going to find in every place, because I've traveled the world at this point, and at every place I've been, it's been something I didn't like. It's been something that I was like, I don't like this that much. But remember, I told you guys many times, perfection is a myth. Nothing is perfect. But this place is my favorite. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go stay there, you know? So one of the things I learned from that process that you guys might be interested in is that you don't belong to a country, especially if you're somebody like African Americans. I mean, you know, everybody has a homeland, you know, so we all can trace ourselves back. We've all been an immigrant at some time. So African Americans can trace ourselves back to the continent, not exactly the country, but to the continent, unless of course you have some kind of fancy DNA or, you know, some kind of, you know, family genealogy or something like that done. So I don't feel like you belong to a country. You are a citizen of that country, but that can change at any given time. You're only a citizen as long as you want to be a citizen. So one of the things I learned from this process is that the globe is my home, and I can live wherever I want as long as they're willing to let me in. If there's an airplane that goes there and they're willing to let me stay, I can go. So I wanted to let you guys know that, because I still get messages every day from people laughing and asking me, do I hex Donald Trump with the rest of the witches every week? And I bust out laughing every time somebody asks me, because I know they don't really know. First of all, who are these witches? What tradition are we talking about? I have seen I've seen it written up on Facebook. I've seen people do articles on it. I've seen a lot, but it's like, it's just a mass call to any witch or, you know, any magic worker who wants to do it, not one particular group. So it's anybody. You don't even have to be a witch, seriously. If you want to cast a spell and you're, you know, whatever you are, you could, theoretically, you could cast one too. So me personally, like I said, I didn't, and I find it to be funny though. I really do find it to be funny because, I don't know why I think it's funny. It cracks me up. Every time somebody says it to me, I crack up. It's not something I would do, but it cracks me up. I guess because of the fact that the people that ask me about it, when they ask me the question, they ask me with such glee, like, do you do it too? You know? And I'm just like, no. So what I learned from that, like I said before, is that he is a problem, but he's not the only problem. To me, he's the focal point at this point. But once he's gone, the problem is still alive. Once he's gone, the ideologies and the things that he supported, the negativity that he supported, is still alive. So removing him, to me, is only part of the battle. The battle is getting rid of, and you can't get rid of all these people. Like, oh, just get rid of all the people to think like that. It's not the people, it's the thought. That's the thing that has to be getting rid of. We have to get rid of people being so hateful. And it's not just in politics. I see it on the internet. I see it between families. It's hatred. It's negativity. It's bad energy. That's the culprit. That's the enemy. And these people, the Donald Trumps of the world, or, you know, whatever. I mean, pick a person. Pick a negative person. Pick somebody who's crazy. Pick somebody who's racist. Pick somebody who's classist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic. Pick somebody who's hateful. Anybody. Insert here. And it's going to be the same issue. It's the hatred. So, like I said, I don't care that they decided to hex them, because that's their conscience, that's their life, that's their decision. You know, I feel like that's on them. You know, the same way when I smoke, don't make them choke. You know, if I have a Newport, they're not going to cough, right? So vice versa. Whatever they do, that's on them. It's not going to affect me. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, that's how I feel about what they're actually doing. You know, that's on them. But when it comes down to it, I think we should focus more on hatred than individuals. We should focus more on negative energy. We should focus more on treating each other better. We should focus more on healing ourselves, because most people that are nasty and negative and angry, like the Trumps of the world, is something wrong in here. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, something in here is wrong. So if we can focus on helping, and this is why I do ask an Aquarius, if we can focus on helping more people heal, helping more people get to a better space inside of themselves, then we won't even breed Donald Trumps. They're bred off of negativity and hatred. So if we can change that vibration, and we absolutely can, a society can be more positive or more negative or more neutral. It's up to us. And if we did things to help more people be in better situations, we could have a happier, more positive, more cooperative, global society. But just focusing on the problem this week, the person that's bringing the trouble this week, is never going to do that. It's already somebody being groomed for next week. So if we impeach Donald Trump, I'm going to dance a jig. I'm going to dance a jig. But there's already another Donald Trump in line. That new person, he or she, is already being groomed. They're already in line today. Donald Trump is 70 years old. There's somebody 15, 16, 18, 20 right now being groomed to come up and do the same thing. So if we keep focusing on the individual and not the totality of the problem, there's always going to be another problem. You and I and the rest of us will be dead and gone, and there'll be another problem coming up the ranks. So I ask you just to consider helping the world get healthier in whatever way you feel comfortable helping. This is my way. Your way may be writing a book. Your way may be working one-on-one with people. There's lots of different ways. Your way may be giving donations, donating time, volunteering. It's a lot of ways to do it. Talking to people, maybe setting up a practice of your own, going to school to be a therapist or a counselor, maybe working on a sliding scale so you can make more accessible to people who have lower incomes. There's a lot of ways that we can be more helpful than we are. So I ask you to consider, what way can you be helpful? So instead of hexing, how can we help? You see? So it's like, and that's where my mind goes whenever I think about magic. I always go to, okay, so instead of destroying, what can I build? You see? I'm more solution minded, more building minded. So whatever the case is, you know, whatever happens because of these hexes, don't blame it on me. Because Queen Ossette's hands will always be clean. All right, guys. When I get back from vacation, I'm going to upload another video. And while I'm gone, I'll be dropping you guys still shots from my brother's wedding, from the outfits that we wear, and from any other cool photos that I find that I think you guys might like from Philadelphia. If you're in or near Philadelphia and you want to have a drink with me, I'm going out like 2 or 3 times. I already got like 2 outings planned. So if you want to hang out with me, you want to come have a drink, email me. I would love to have an opportunity to meet some of my subscribers that are in or near Philly. Okay, guys? All right. See you when I get back. Don't forget, come back, because I'm going to have a lot, even more to say than usual by the time I come back from Philadelphia. Okay? See you later.